Applied Human-Centered Design. You are very much welcome to this course. In this course, we focus on futuristic innovations, product design, leadership and management. Imagine walking through a city where a transport system was designed for the people but no one uses it. Now, imagine a solution created with the community. It works, it's loved, and it lasts. That's the power of applied human-centered design. This course is your gateway to learning how to design with empathy, for impact, and through collaboration. From consumer products and services, technology systems to health and social projects, from apps to policies, you'll gain practical tools to solve real-world challenges by putting people first. If you're passionate about making meaningful change, this course isn't just for you, it's built with you in mind. Are you ready to design what truly matters? Applied human-centered design is an interdisciplinary approach to problem-solving that puts human needs, behaviors, and experiences at the center of the design process. This course emphasizes designing solutions, systems, products, or services that are not only functional and efficient but also empathetic, ethical, inclusive, and sustainable. It blends knowledge from design thinking, psychology, anthropology, engineering, and innovation management. This course will equip you with practical tools and strategies to engage users, co-create solutions, and iterate designs that are desirable, feasible, and viable. Let's dive into the first module of this course. Foundations of Human-Centered Design. This module will cover topics such as origins and evolution of human-centered design, core principles and philosophy, human-centered design versus traditional design models, and ethical considerations in design. We shall briefly look at the background and evolution of human-centered design stretching back from the early 1950s to the present-day applications. Origin, evolution and background of human-centered design. Human-centered design is a creative approach to problem-solving that starts with the people you're designing for and ends with tailored solutions that meet their needs. Historical background. 1950s–1960s. Emerged in human factors and ergonomics during World War II to improve safety and usability of military equipment. 1970s to 1980s. Rise of participatory design, involving users in the design process, Scandinavian approach. 1980s–1990s. Became popular in software and interface design, influenced by Don Norman at Apple. 1990s to 2000s. IDEO and other firms formalized HCD methodologies. Shift from technology-driven to human-driven design. Present. Human-centered design has evolved into a multidisciplinary methodology applied in global development, healthcare, education, business, and engineering. Here are some of the key contributors. Don Norman coined the term user-centered experience. IDEO popularized design thinking as part of human-centered design. ISO 9241-210 established international standards for HCD processes. Core principles and philosophy. Foundational principles. 1. Empathy. Understanding the user's needs, contexts, and emotions. 2. Inclusion. Designing with and for diverse groups. 3. Co-creation. Actively involving users in the design process. 4. Iteration. Continuously improving through feedback and testing. 5. Contextualization. Designing solutions that fit real-world environments. 6. Systems thinking. Understanding how design impacts interconnected systems. Philosophical underpinnings. Prioritizes user well-being, dignity, and empowerment. Seeks meaningful innovation, not just aesthetic or technical improvements. Views design as a tool for social change and human development. Human-centered design versus traditional design models. 1. User involvement. In human-centered design, high users are partners in design. 2. Design focus. In human-centered design, design focuses on user needs, behaviors, and context, while in traditional designs, focuses on aesthetics and technical features. 3. Process approach. In human-centered designs, iterative and exploratory process are used, while in traditional designs, linear and fixed processes such as waterfall are employed. 4. Problem definition. In human-centered design, the problem is reframed through user perspectives, whereas in traditional designs, the problem is defined upfront by the designers. 5. Outcome. The outcomes of human-centered designs are desirable, feasible and viable human-centric solutions, whereas outcomes from traditional designs are technically driven with business-focused solutions. Ethical considerations in design. Why ethics matter in human-centered design. Design choices have moral, social, and cultural implications. HCD emphasizes designing not just for usability, but for dignity, fairness, and justice. Key ethical issues to take note of. 1. Informed consent. Users must know and agree to participate in design processes. 2. Privacy and data protection, especially relevant in digital solutions. 3. Bias and discrimination, avoiding systemic biases in tools or services. 4. Accessibility, designing for all, including people with disabilities. 5. Cultural sensitivity, respecting local traditions and values. Ethical design practices. Conduct ethical research with approvals where needed. Ensure transparency and user agency. Adopt inclusive design standards. Implement safeguards against harm or misuse. In summary, this module has introduced you to the origins, principles, and philosophy of human-centered design, HCD, tracing its roots from human factors engineering to its modern-day application in innovation and social impact. It emphasizes the shift from traditional, product-centered design approaches to methods that prioritize users' needs, experiences, and environments. Core principles such as empathy, inclusion, co-creation, iteration, and contextual understanding are explored, highlighting how HCD creates solutions that are not only functional but meaningful and sustainable. The module also contrasts HCD with conventional design models, underlining differences in process, focus, and user involvement. Finally, the module addresses ethical considerations in human-centered design practice, such as informed consent, cultural sensitivity, and designing for equity and accessibility, ensuring responsible and respectful engagement with all users. The next module will go deep in understanding human needs as a core knowledge area in human-centered design.